Testing, testing. Good morning. The Madera County Board of Supervisors does not have any items for closed session. The Board of Supervisors will begin their meeting at 10 o'clock during the regular public session. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Nope. Can you hear me? Can you hear me yet?
Hello.
Hello. Test, test. Yeah, I've got it out. Checking 1, 2. There we go. I knew it wasn't me. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. And County Council, would you please explain?
Yes, Chairman and members of the board and members of the public, there were no items for today's closed session, and so there has been no business conducted. As the chairman mentioned, the meeting is called to order now, so there are no reportable action because there was no closed session for today's meeting.
Thank you. And County Clerk, are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions to the agenda. However, we are going to be pulling item 7E under public session.
Yes, item 7E will be brought back at a later date due to a missing component per request of staff. So at this time, we're going to open this meeting in memory of Virginia Rose. And are there any other people that you would like to open and close in memory of? Thank you. Anyone? Anyone like to say anything about Virginia Rose? Okay. I didn't either, so.
I thought I did.
Today's invocation will be given by Father John Warburton of St. Joachim's, and I'll ask him to come to the mic, and let's stand together. I'd like to ask Brad Dorff if he'd be willing to lead the Pledge of Allegiance following the invocation. Thank you. Let's stand, please.
O God of life and of love, we ask your blessing upon our assembly this morning. Make it profitable for our growth in wisdom, love, unity, and holiness. We ask your special graces on the supervisors. Give them special graces for problem solving and with special concern for those who are most in need. Help them cooperate with your graces to work everything to the good for those who love you. And we profess our love for you, who are Lord, Redeemer, Friend, Good Shepherd, Divine Bridegroom, Father Almighty, forever and ever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll open public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Good morning, Dennis Cook, Director of Behavioral Health. I wanted to speak just for a second about Virginia Rose. I did not know Virginia Rose, but I knew of Virginia Rose, and I knew of her from my long-term employee, which is she's worked for, I'm not going to say how many years for the county, because that might give away her age, and that is Margaret Graham, that she has worked in our department for a few different decades, and what a pleasure it is to work for her. But I got to know a little bit about her mother through her, and about her efforts, I guess, in the Garden Club here in Madera, and how they named the school after her, and got to hear a lot of stories about her mother and her father, who I guess have been just exemplary residents of Madera County and supporters of Madera, the city of Madera, and on a number of different projects. And just what a remarkable woman she was that I have heard about through her daughter, and that is Margaret Graham. Thank you.
Well, thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chairman, I'd just like to mention, there was another Virginia Rose that the school is named after. So the Virginia Rose that David's talking about is a different Virginia Rose than who the school is named after. In fact, here's what's interesting. I think that this Virginia Rose, who just passed away, her husband's name is John.
Right.
And the other Virginia Rose, the school is named after, her husband's name is John
Wow.
Rose,
Right.
who's still around. So it's easily confused,
Okay.
and all that. But yeah, in the dear lady you're talking about that
Right.
passed away several years ago,
Right.
I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, wonderful lady, and exactly, I mean, that's why the school is named after her.
Well, let's
In fact,
remember.
I thought it was the anniversary of her passing, so I thought, well, geez,
Yeah,
I'll
this
say
was
something.
another Virginia
I messed
Rose.
it up, too.
Well, there's nothing wrong with us
still a
remembering
wonderful
both
woman.
Virginia Roses, because
Absolutely.
apparently they were both extraordinary women.
Wonderful,
So,
Right.
wonderful people.
yeah, absolutely. And it's great to know that there are two. That'd be a name worthy of your child if you wanted to name somebody after a great person. Two great Virginia Roses.
Yeah.
Thank you. Come ahead.
Hi, we are Dan and Brenda Joseph, and we're from Corsical. Our reason to be here today is we would like to have the Board of Supervisors get our questions answered from the appropriate Madera County offices. The subject of this is our rights to maintain, repair, and improve our 30-foot recorded easements, along with the county's 60-foot offer of dedication, which both are only accesses to our home and property. Both of our easements and the offer of dedication are for road purposes across a neighbor's property, which we have been maintaining and improving for the last 15 years. In 2010, during an on-site visit, the county road department told us the county is in charge of the road work regarding the offer of dedication over these parcels. In addition, the county, along with a neighbor and ourselves, repaired this section of road soon after that meeting. What happened? 2 years ago, 2017, we notified the parcel's owners to again repair this recurring road problem due to underground springs within our easements and the county's offer of dedication. The parcel's owners agreed the road needed to be repaired, and they stated they would help. After a year of multiple correspondence with them, they suddenly decided to withdraw their help and stated that we are on our own to do the repairs. So this year, on April 22nd, we started to do the repairs. The next day, on the 23rd, the parcel owners called the police and stated we were illegally doing work without the parcel owner's permission. So we stopped our work to diffuse any problems until we could get a clear understanding of who has what rights. After approximately 5 weeks of questions to the road department, which was then forwarded to the Madera County's council, Miss Regina Garza, on May 30th. From May 30th, approximately 7 weeks ago, and after numerous attempts from us, we have not received any responses from either the road department or county council regarding our questions. What we're requesting is, with all due respect to the work by the Madera County Road Department and Madera's County Council, we're requesting the Board of Supervisors to help us with getting our questions answered, and also to please let us know the correct county offices who can help us get this resolved. This is becoming urgent as our project is currently only half done, and if not completed before the winter rains, our project will be more than likely the road impassable. Also, this road is the access road to Deadwood Peak's multiple communication towers. Does anybody have any questions?
By law, we're not allowed to comment on your comment, but thank you for your comments.
But we
And
will-
we'll get staff to look into this.
All right, we'll take it under consideration, see what's going on, and get back with you.
Thank you.
Talking that, I can't hear you.
Dan, right here.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next person. Good morning, Gary.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Gary Svanda, Madera County Assessor. I have brought this morning a very brief report on the Madera County tax roll covering the year 2018, January through December. I would ask that my helper here hand out a little copy, and you can peruse it at your own speed. But to highlight, if I might, the tax roll, once again for the 5th consecutive year, has reached a level that we have never attained before. This year, 2019, we've topped 15,089 million, representing a 5.69% increase overall for the county.
What was that increase? I'm sorry.
5.69%.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That represents a total of 66,234 parcel count. The composition of our tax roll remains about what it has been in the past, with 50.16% attributed to residential properties that went up this past year, per the chart, almost $500 million in value. An additional 26.5% of our value is attributed to agriculture. Our commercial and industrial accounts for roughly 13 or 13.5%. And then personal property, which is the ownership of things inside businesses and our industries to do their work, accounts for the final 9.42%. To give you an idea, back at the height of the Depression that we experienced in 09 and 10, in 2011, we had 19,660 properties that had to be reduced in value because of the reality of what values were throughout the county. At the end of 2017, we ended with 8,072 remaining, and this year alone, we eliminated 1,222, meaning they're growing back to the values that were originally established, and we remain having 6,850 total properties that are in Prop 8 valuation. And finally, out of 66,000 accounts that we put a value on, the final page shows that we had a total of 67 appeals to those valuations, out of which 45, with merely a phone call from our office to those people, educating them as to how the valuations were established, withdrew on their own their
Wow.
appeal. We also negotiated one, and we have 3 hearings completed through the appeals board, and all 18 of the finals are scheduled for appeals. So with that, happy to answer any questions. Understand this is public comment, but after you have a chance to peruse the information, please don't hesitate to give our office a call. Thank you so much.
Great.
Any questions? Great. Thank you, Gary. Next.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Kirsten with Madera County Animal Services. This is Mitzi, and she's super cute. The reason I brought her here today, she's one of 261 animals that have arrived at the shelter since July 1. So that means that the city of Madera donated 113 animals, and the county of Madera donated 148. They're all highly adoptable, sweet as heck. You can color coordinate when needed, you know, that kind of thing. But if anybody is looking for a great furry friend, or I have chickens, or if you're kind of the odd duck, I also have a few pot-belly pigs, a pony, and a calf. So there's lots of options for pet ownership at the shelter. Please come and see us. We are going to be offering from today through the end of July a 50% off on adoption fees to help ease the overcrowding in the shelter.
Wow.
Any hands? Any takers?
She is so cute.
Was that June the 1st or July 1st, you said?
I'm sorry, what?
That was that 261 is June the 1st or July 1st?
July 1st.
July 1st, wow.
Yeah. In 15 days, we've taken in 261 animals. So we're
Wow.
busting out at the same.
What a variety, too.
Yeah, a great variety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody looking for a pet, please come to the shelter. Pick one that's just for you.
Thank you.
Regina, yeah, you're good. Thank you.
What a cute little dog.
Take him home.
You want him? Yeah. I don't need another animal.
Yeah, I think you do.
I have got a lot of them. You want a cat?
Yeah.
Max has cats. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Wilson, and I'm a home care provider through the In-Home Supportive Services, otherwise known as IHSS. And I'm here to bring to your attention of the board that there's a great need for us to be protected as we do our jobs on a daily basis. And what I mean by that is that we need gloves, we need hand sanitizer and masks in order to better, give us better safety options. Because when we first go in on our clients' homes, in order to take care of them, we're not told of what their, ailments might be, whether they might have HIV, whether they have hepatitis. They're not allowed to disclose that stuff under the HIPAA laws. It's up to their clients in order to let us know if they so choose. So we're asking that the Board of Supervisors grant that money to be available for hand sanitizers, masks, and gloves so that we can protect ourselves, so we don't catch a communicable disease like MRSA or anything else special like that. Officers can verify, that we're just asking for some special consideration there, because we all don't need to take those kind of illnesses home to our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Chris Edstrom. I am a recent resident, a new resident to Madera County. I moved here from New Mexico. I retired from the Air Force in '97. My son is autistic. He was born that way in Okinawa, Japan. Suffers from a wide range of disabilities which are really difficult to contend with. As his father, I do it. I would not do this job if I was not his father. It's very, very difficult. I'm here to help you see the face of what it's like. I look forward to spending more time with you in the future. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is we couldn't do this without IHSS. We could not live here. We've actually contemplated leaving the country. That's how difficult it is to take care of a disabled child with a modest Air Force retirement. And IHSS makes it possible for us to live here fully. With my Air Force retirement, I can patronize all of the business establishments in this town. My wife and I can enjoy our life in spite of my son's disability. He has a hard time with it, but we do the best we can. And IHSS gives us that capacity as a family. And that's really pretty much it. I am very grateful for what you do. This is not a complaint. I'm not here to get into an adversarial relationship over anything. I just want you to know that we are people, that we look forward to working with you, that we appreciate what you have done. You have a beautiful community. I have a daughter-in-law that you helped make, and she's beautiful. And I look forward to spending more time with you in the future. And I apologize for my stuttering. I'm not good at this.
Okay.
No
Thank
problem.
you, John.
You were fine,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Elsa Laura Lugo. I am with UDW Home Care Providers Union. We represent home care providers in the IHSS program here in Madera County. As baby boomers come of age, the need for home care providers is increasing. I'm in state capital in Sacramento. They call it the silver tsunami. And I don't know how you take it, but that's what they call it. IHSS home care providers help keep family members who are the most vulnerable in their homes. And we're talking about seniors, adults with disabilities, and children with disabilities. And this is a cost savings. Low-end private home care, one of the senators in Sacramento had his staff do a research and reported that low-end private home care costs anywhere between $25,000 to $32,000 a year. And on minimum wage, that is more than most people's salaries. As the cost of private home care increases and the counties and states look to help families keep their most vulnerable in their own homes, all while saving their costs, there needs to be a way to attract more IHSS home care providers. One of the best ways would be an increase to the minimum wage. We know that as home care providers, we've had to fight to be recognized as workers. Yes, most of us are family providers because who better than for us to take care of our own family members? But a good number of us are home care providers who care for people in the community, people who have to go to work. They cannot afford private home care, and they need somebody to come into their home and take care of their family member. So these IHSS home care providers are workers. They get up, they do the work that needs to be done so that folks can live and thrive and continue to live and thrive, not only in their homes, but in this community of Madera. So increasing the minimum wage would be one way to attract home care providers. We often hear about how they don't know that there was this IHSS program. So making that available to those who need it the most would also be most helpful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak at public comment? Hearing none, we'll call it close to the public comment portion of our meeting, and we'll go to the consent calendar. Are there any questions on the consent calendar from the board?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Okay, Tom?
I just, on item E and F, and I think Matt was going to say something on it. I just wanted to thank those communities and those developers. When Gary Savanda was up here a little earlier talking about our growth, that's been a big part of our growth in Madera County, and it's really helped our economy in Madera County, and that's the reason that our budget was up this year, and these here row is up. So just wanted to thank those people for picking Madera County to make us the best place to work, live, and play. So thank you. Matt, you wanted to talk. I got a couple more, but Matt wanted to say something on the one, so.
Thank you, Supervisor, and on that item. I would actually, if the board would allow, I would like to remove just item E for a discussion off of the consent. There has been a slight modification, and I just wanted the opportunity to discuss that with the board in a little more detail. Thank you.
No problem. Item E will be removed
You
for
know, make a
discussion.
motion, I'll
Yeah.
take that out. Then at item G, I just wanted to thank the San Joaquin Air Board and our central garage. Steve, if he's here, I haven't seen him, for going out and getting that $100,000 grant to buy those electric cars. So that helps offset what it's going to cost us. It only cost us $67,000. That's in our regular budget for buying replacement cars anyway. And on item H, we're finalizing that contract that Dennis Cook put together to build the showers, laundry room, and toilets for homeless up there on 426 in the behavioral health building. He gave us a tour of it last week, and it was, when we went there was actually some people taking showers and stuff. So I know a lot of the meetings I've had up there with the sheriff and everything else, they always ask to have showers more than anything. So we have them up there available for them now, and they're using them, so it's kind of cool. So
It makes you feel good when you see something.
it is. It makes you feel good, you know, that when you spend some money like that. Like Dennis said, it seemed high, but you go look at it, it's pretty nice. And, you know, what's the cost if we can help somebody improve their lives?
Normalize their life,
It
right.
was,
And they use them uptown?
huh?
They use them.
They're using them, yeah. And actually, they had somebody, I don't know who they were or what, was using the washing machines too. And it might have been the same ones, I don't know, but they were the one guy was in the shower, and the washing machine was going, but when he got to the shower, he walked out, so and there was some more outside, so they were using the washing machine too. So they've never had that since, one of the churches up there did offer some of that, you know, but here and there, you know what I mean? So it's kind of neat. So, and then I just wanted to thank staff on S, T, and U on those special districts to move forward and trying to get these systems going. On item T, the MD7, the Marina View, I looked at the background on it, and maybe Ahmad or whoever, or Jared can tell me on that. It said something about we're hiring those engineers to do that. I thought we had hired engineers to design it all before, but maybe it was just to do that test well. But it said something about the engineers at $172,000. Is that for any parts of anything, high power hydrants or logic controls that they're going to use, any parts at all, grading? It's all part of that, or is that just for the engineering of it?
Good morning, Supervisor Jared with Public Works. Yeah, this contract is just strictly for the design of the system. And you're correct, we did have a design that was done several years back. It was a consolidation project with a few districts and also Bass Lake Water Company up there.
So that don't count then?
Right. Since then, things have changed with the funding scheme, and the districts are now doing their own projects. And so this is a contract to move forward with getting a system treatment and equipping it well in MD7 just as a standalone project.
So that, and as they got a committee, right? It said that you guys met twice
Correct.
weekly. So
Yep.
Have they all agreed to this?
Yep, they've all reviewed the proposal and they're on board with it.
And they have the money?
I'm sorry?
They have the money in their account?
Yeah, they have reserved monies to pay for this portion of it. Moving forward, once the design is done, we'll have to look at the options for funding the project, depending on how it looks when it gets designed.
Yeah. So they will have to do a 218 vote because they're not eligible for a grant or anything, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Right, okay. Thank you guys for a good job getting them on here, so.
No problem. Thank you.
That's it, boss.
Okay, any further questions on the agenda or on the consent calendar from the board? If not, let's take it out to the public. Any comments from the public on the consent calendar? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar, pulling item E.
Motion made and second. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Okay.
Want to go ahead and do that item E?
Item E.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So item 5E, we have just become aware of a slight modification that may occur between what is in the board's backup and what may be recorded with the clerk recorders. And it deals with simply some landscape bulb outs. And I do have a map. It's still consistent with the adopted tentative map that the Planning Commission adopted. So it's really an aspect of looking at it and working with the Board of Real Estate at the state level, as well as the master developer and this developer. It's very minor, some landscape bulb outs that might result in these lots being identified as outlots and being removed from the right-of-way as they are currently shown on the board. So I wanted to make the board aware of that. If there is a significant change, obviously, we would bring the item back before you for an amendment at that time, but this is really kind of an administrative that we're working through with the Bonadelli Homes, who's the applicant on this final map, and the master developer and the Board of Real Estate. So just want to make the board aware of that. This isn't necessarily an uncommon thing. Sometimes we see these little tweaks after we get it done, but we're at least fortunate this time that we have this prior to the board action on this item. So I wanted to make the board aware of that and just.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, so if we make a motion, we just say that when it is filed, the final map, that it will be with these corrections of taking those items out of our right-of-way?
Correct, or just provide the ability of staff to work with them and make that modification. So, because it could remain in the right-of-way with an agreement between the developer and the county, right, that the developer would be maintaining that, or it could result in outlots. So we're working with the Board of Real Estate. Just want to provide the board this information, and then hopefully ask for the flexibility as we just work through these in the next day or so.
Motion should read to be able to
Just
staff to be able to modify as
map?
necessary.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, is there any discussion from any of the other board members? If not, take it out to the public. Any discussion from the public on item 5E? Seeing none, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
I move that we approve item E with any kind of modification they need to get the map final for the state.
Okay, motion is made. Motion made in second. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yep.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Okay, at this time, we have a 10:30 public hearing. Let's go to that item. This should be a quick item.
6A, Chowchilla Water District, hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving modified election divisions for the Chowchilla Water District.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, members of the board.
Members of the board, Mike Linden, Deputy County Counsel. We're here for, a relatively simple matter. It is in your board's statutory role to approve election division boundaries for water districts. In this case, the Chowchilla Water District. A resolution was brought to Rhonda's office in the statutory time that is necessary. So we have a public hearing, and so really there's two matters for it by statute. One is the validity of the Chowchilla Water District's resolution, which we don't have any reason to believe it wasn't duly passed. But the other one is basically evidence to divide the districts into divisions, and the statutory requirement is nearly as equal as may be practicable. So for the public hearing, we have Mr. Brandon Tomlinson from the Chowchilla Water District, who's here to answer any questions that would be necessary to pass.
Morning, Brandon. Welcome. You want to come forward? Do you have anything to offer, or other than what he said?
No, not really. Basically, what happened was over the past few years, we've annexed properties back into our district, and they weren't included in the voting districts.
Right.
So now we've added that.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You should say your
Making it
name
right.
on there too.
Sorry?
You should put your name on there so it's on record.
Okay, Brandon
We said it,
Tomlinson.
but that's,
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for reminding me of that, Tom.
Right.
Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, just so, you're making it like districts, like we all have now, like 5 districts and the supervisors and whatever it is for school boards, is that, so you're just doing that?
Right.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's-
Okay,
Can't beat that.
this is a public hearing, so are there any public who are here who are wanting to speak for or against this motion? This item? Thank you. None? I will call it close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for consideration.
You want to make the motion,
I'll second.
or? Oh, okay.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to.
That's all right.
Okay, I'll make the
I'm
motion,
chairman
yeah.
today, so, thank you. And it's seconded. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you, Brandon. Okay, at this time, we'll go into regular calendar. And that would be 7A.
7A, Sheriff Coroner's Office, recognition of Detective Brad Dorr by the Board of Supervisors and the Sheriff's Office.
Mr. J.
Morning, Mr. Chairman Pro Tem and members of the board. This morning, we're here to give Brad Dorr, recognize him and give to him a life-saving award. So if you have just a second, I'll just read you the circumstances. Over the past, I'd say almost 18 months to 2 years, Lieutenant Zamudio, who's here in the audience also, has been working with other members of the Sheriff's Office staff to kind of re-energize our awards program. I think this is the second or third one that we've done since then. However, I think it's the first one we've done here in front of the board. So on June 20th, 2018, Brad Dorr was in the Sheriff's Office employee break room with 2 other employees. While in the break room, one of the employees started to choke on their food. The employee became in obvious distress and continued to choke on their food and was unable to clear their own throat. The employee was in obvious distress, ran towards the kitchen sink area of our, I don't know if you've been in our break room, but towards the kitchen sink area of our break room, tried to remove their uniform shirt and their bulletproof vest. The employee did not appear to be able to breathe. The Detective Dorr asked if they were okay. The employee shook their head no, and had one hand up to their throat. Detective Dorr asked the employee if they needed him to do the Heimlich maneuver, and the employee nodded their head yes, because they were unable to speak or breathe. Detective Dorr delivered 3 back blows, and however, the obstruction in the employee's airway was not removed. This time, Detective Dorr began a series of abdominal thrusts from behind. On the 3rd thrust, the food dislodged from the employee's throat, allowing them to breathe again. And I think it's fairly apparent that if Brad hadn't been there, we could have had a very serious injury or a death of another employee. So sometimes, we take those things for granted, but Tom may recall that even within the past few weeks, we had a death up in the North Fork area from someone who had a food emergency. So not something to be taken lightly, and certainly very glad that Brad was there and able and willing, as he always is, to take action on something that needs to take action on. So at this time, I don't know if the board wants to come down or if we want to take a photo up here in the front. I'd like to present to Brad the ribbon that he'll be able to wear on his uniform and then the medal that goes with that.
Let's go down there. We have a
Absolutely.
uniform as well. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you, man. Come on up, Brad. We also have a certificate for Brad recognizing this heroic action. And I made a note on my notes for this gift and many others that have been given in selfless devotion to this county. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. We're here.
Anybody else have anything you want to say? This guy has done more for this county than people realize. Can you send one of those? It's an honor to have our picture taken with this guy. Thank you. Anybody else have anything you want to say?
This is my father.
Oh, it's your dad.
Hey, proud moment for you.
The name John is a good name.
I just want to thank the sheriff and our command staff for their hard work, and I appreciate the supervisors and giving me the opportunity to be able to work for this county. I love this place, and I love the job I do and the work I do, and I appreciate this opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, you've made it a better place to live. Thank you. All right, let's give him a hand. Want to say anything, Dad?
We're all glad to be here, and just one thing, his mom's looking down over us right now. Thank you.
I don't think you all know, I know you knew my mom and stuff like that. We lost her on Christmas Day, and so take care of Dad. So this is important to them. You bet. You bet. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all.
Need one more group photo where we're all looking in the.
That's one of those good moments. Good people doing good
Makes
things.
his job good, huh?
Yeah, good people doing great things. And as I said, just for this and many other gifts of selfless devotion to this county, no doubt about it, that man has done a lot for this community. I could tell you stories. All right, item 7B.
7B, presentation of CalVans program.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Nick Salinas, District Chief of Staff for District Number 3. As you may know, Supervisor Poitras sits on the California Van Pool Authority Board as a board member, and I was sitting in on a teleconference last time he wasn't able to join, and they announced the hiring of their brand new executive director, Georgina Cardenas, who was very well qualified. In fact, her resume was, I think, about 17 or 18 pages when I looked through it. So without further ado, she's going to present the CalVans program and how it benefits the constituents in our community. So,
thank you, Nick.
Georgina.
Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of slides. You guys
Can you give
may-
us your name for the record?
Georgina Cardenas.
Yeah, thank you.
CalVans Executive Director. Let's see, and I think we're going to have a PowerPoint up here. So our program, you guys are all a member of our, we have several different counties that are already part of it, several different COGs. Let's see, what can I, next slide, please. So this is a list of our current JPA members.
You should have a clicker there.
Is that me? Okay. Let's see, just a quick snapshot of our statewide van pool. This is currently the areas that we cover, down to Imperial County, up to Sacramento at this point. We have a few that have straggled up into Napa County and some in Solano, but it's primarily from employers that stem from the counties that we represent. Let's see, what else do we have? So a little bit about our program structure. Our fleet size as of today is 800 plus vehicles. We recover 100% of our operational costs from our riders. Some of what many of our employers appreciate is that we have 24/7 support of our vans and for our drivers. We have 7 offices across the state at present. And then, of course, just back in 2016, we signed an MOU with the Federal Department of Labor, where a very large part of our fleet, in fact, about 85% of it, is now sponsored by the employer using the transit voucher from IRS 132F. So huge part of that, something that we've never seen before. And as a matter of fact, we got a call from EDD last week about a bunch of new employers signing up for our program, wanting to make sure that we had sufficient vehicles. Answer to that, unfortunately, is no at this point. So we're working with what we have right now. So driver qualifications, I'll just be really brief on this one. To qualify to use one of our vehicles, a driver has to be 25 years of age, has to have at least a Class C license, can't have more than 2 points on their DMV record. Of those, can't have a DUI or a reckless driving in the last 5 years, and you have to be able to pass a Class B physical. Vehicles are fairly large, 15-passenger Savannas, and until CARB passes the Ford all-electric vehicle, that is our preferred vehicle of choice at this point. They're pretty sturdy, 3500s, big radiators, and we went ahead and installed XL. It's a hybrid type vehicle. There are a couple of mechanisms on it that prevent folks from being able to travel over 70 miles an hour, so that's an added safety feature. And it's primarily to conserve its power. Next one. So as part of the program, employees, what they get. So as far as system controls, we track all miles and the passenger trips. To start a vehicle, you normally require a PIN, as well as to use your fuel card. We monitor all speeds, and we monitor the drivers for their DMV pull notice. So anytime somebody gets a ticket or is close to approaching the DMV 2 point, they're removed from our program. Let's see. So some of the member benefits. So how we work with the local COG agencies, local members of our JPA, is by bringing in additional federal 5307 funds to the transit agencies. We reduce greenhouse gases, and we report to CARB. Residents have the added transit option by having us in their area. Fewer vehicles on the roadway, of course, more local funds generated through rider savings, and a safe farm worker transportation for local employers. Let's see, so comparison to local transit data. Some of the revenue that we've been reporting to the NTD, 57%, there's been an increase in that one. I took a quick snapshot, and this is the 16-17 fiscal years, and explains it a little bit better on this one. So transit over time, growth in Madera Vanpool ridership. So this is drawn directly from the National Transit Database website. So these are numbers that are being reported. Let's see, what do we have on this one? So these are some of the members, some of the contributions and how we work and how we return federal funds to the areas is by growing in the areas that we serve. At present, our presence in any given county, and upon reporting to the NTD, it will cause an increase. There's a measure of calculation there with the NTD. It goes into urbanized areas. Each area, if you have a stick, is just how you measure those different urbanized areas. And in Madera County, so it goes for fiscal year 16-17, once again, 368,362 is what was reported.
Regina?
Yes.
Yeah, what, like Delano and Madera is exactly the same. How does that kind of work out like that?
Because they're in different urbanized areas. So if your population is under 200,000, there's one calculation. If you're over 200 and under 500,000, They're different. It's how we share the ridership. So we report extra miles on behalf of the areas that we serve, but these tend to go directly to the local, let's say the transit agencies. They tend to absorb the majority. So we will report on behalf of these areas wherever vehicles stem from or their destination for the day. And those are kind of twofold, but traditionally if something comes out of Madera and returns to Madera every day, they get these points.
So it's the same as Delano? That's what I don't understand exactly.
Oh, because each one is worth a certain dollar amount. So let's say that one appears to be maybe 3 of those stick points.
Yeah.
Most regions are eligible to 6 of them. And that has to do with how creative a county is. Let's say, van pooling is one portion of it, but let's say electric vehicle components, or there's all these different types of methods to acquire the max out amount, which is traditionally.
So the max amount is those numbers there for our size, the 772, the 404, the 368?
That's what you guys maxed out for those fiscal years, yes. 17, 18, and then 16, 17, and
It's
none
kind of
for.
weird, they're all exactly the same, and then 16, 17, it don't look like the secretary wanted to do much work,
Yeah.
so they just copied them all the same.
No, if you add them up, that's what they qualified for. If the county, the city tends to be about the same size.
Okay.
They tend to get about the same amount. If we go further up, let's say cities like Fresno or Visalia, Hanford, depending on the size of the county, there are a lot of miles that go uncounted because a lot of transit agencies tend to report the miles or the passenger miles that occurred within their city structure.
Yeah.
We're able to capture rural miles as well.
Like Fresno, they actually went down from 16, 17 to 17, 18.
Yep, they did. If they didn't meet that extra stick point, they wouldn't have gotten
okay.
that full one.
Guess I understand that.
Is there an average on the number of passengers in the vans?
In the 15-passenger vehicles, they tend to be at capacity with the farm labor. We have general van pools that, let's say correctional officers, we see the same thing, traditionally about 11.
So basically taking 15 other cars off the road.
That's correct. We have about, I believe, 40 24-hour vehicles where essentially the correctional officers have used the same vehicle they rotate the shift out. One drops off, the other crew gets in and takes the same van. So we rack up the miles on those pretty quickly. But that one vehicle will count as 4
trips.
Yeah, in one day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you add up all of the fleet there, that's quite a lot of drivers off the road.
It is, and because we try to vet our employees, making sure that they are, not on the road illegally, first and foremost, and that they are insured.
And insured too.
That makes a big difference.
Yes, we hope so. That is definitely our mission across the state as we grow. I started out in one county, and it's taken off quite a bit. Represent several different counties. Didn't think the agricultural worker one would take off as much as it has, but that is the one we're making the biggest difference on across the state.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent. Any questions?
Question for you.
Sure.
With the political scene, what it is, do you see a drop in passengers?
No, a lot of the employers, one of our biggest growth in vehicles has been the H-2A program. That's the guest worker program. So you know that if they're using that vehicle, they've gone through the visa process. They've gone through the process of getting folks here the legal way. So.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Just have a couple of things. First of all, Georgina, welcome aboard the Van Pool Authority Commission. You'll be able to now know who, when you hear Poitras motioning or something, you know who I am. Because they're all call-in meetings and so forth. So, but a couple of things I think that are the most impressive things about the van pool program is number one, cost. The fact that ridership is covered, 100% of the operational costs are covered by the riders. So it's not one of these.
Pretty cool giveaways.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really a win-win. And, but actually, the more important thing is the safety, because all of us have heard over the years, you know, it seems like every year there's multiple fatalities and horrible accidents that happen on our county roads all over the Central Valley. And it's usually, you know, farm workers, you know, heading out, and there's a blind intersection with trees or vineyard or something. And, you know, sometimes there might be alcohol involved. And the fact that we have fewer drivers on the road and that the drivers are being checked out all the time in terms of driver safety and records and so forth, I think it's a wonderful thing. So, so it's a great program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I got one more question.
Oh, yeah, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Have you, how long you been on, working here? How long?
With Calvans?
Yeah.
9 years.
Huh?
9 years?
Oh, 9 years.
Yes.
Oh, been a while. So do you work with the San Joaquin Valley Air Board to get any dollars for any of these vehicles?
We work together with them. They're part of our JPA. If there are dollars to be applied for, I mean, I do my very best to attain those dollars. Primarily when we do go out to obtain a grant, which have gotten several, it's to continue their focus. SB 375, there's a lot of different things about, you know, investing in the communities, folks that live in disadvantaged communities, things of that nature, and then also converting our
I know we got a lot of
fleet.
money, you know, that we put out for these kind of programs, so as long as you are working on that, fine, but if you're not, just give them a call and,
Okay.
you know, see what they might, because we just approved a bunch of new programs just in the last couple of months. There's a lot of money out there for this kind of stuff, replacement, so.
Yes.
If we can do it, save a buck and get more of these people off the highway, that's just, makes it so many, anybody, I don't care who it is, the less people we can get on the road, the better it is, so.
Right, right.
Thank you.
That's good closing.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Great to meet you all.
Item 7C.
7C, Board of Directors, Flood Control and Water Conservation Agency. Discussion and consideration of budget options relating to a Prop 218 proceeding and provide direction on the preferred finding option.
Stephanie?
Good morning.
Good morning. Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. I'm here on behalf of the Flood Control Agency this morning. I'm also with Dario Dominguez behind me, Scott Brown from Larson Warzel, who's an engineer and worked on our preliminary assessment, and Kim Floyd from Kim Floyd Communications, who is a public relations and outreach consultant who specializes in flood control. The purpose of this presentation is to pick up where we left off several months ago and review some preliminary budget options, methodology, and preliminary assessment rates. At the end, we'll request approval of an agency budget and to advance through the 218 process. So here is a simplified budget in your packet of information. We had a more complicated one that had all of the sub-items, but we basically have 3 levels of funding. There's a minimum funding of 1.7 million, an adequate funding of 3.7, and a state recommended funding, which is around 5.5 million. And I'll go through how we got there in a minute. In terms of the minimum level of funding of the 1.75, this is a base level for staff. It's 3 staff people. Basic program administration and planning, basic levy activities, and limited reserves for local match and emergency response. That's of critical importance because one of the things we're struggling with right now is we want to apply for more grants, but we don't have the match. So the minimal level of funding has some drawbacks. Then at the other end of the spectrum, we have state recommended funding of 5.53 And this is based on a survey of local maintaining agencies along the Sac River and San Joaquin River, using average values per mile of levee or channel, which end up, just so you have the ballpark, between $30,000 and $50,000 per mile is what we typically see.
Wow.
And then here's the medium option in the middle, adequate agency funding of 3.76. This is fully funded staff of 7 plus equipment, a reasonable level of program administration and planning, fully funding all of the maintenance programs. That includes channel cleanup, both down here on the Fresno River and up in Oakhurst, as well as reasonable reserves, assuming that grant funding is available. And it will give us also the ability to pay off our debt sooner. We have about $20,000 that we owe to the general fund that we're using to do this work last fiscal year. We also owe about $200,000 to Public Works based on emergencies that have occurred in the past. In terms of the assessment, we have the ability to do a special benefit assessment for 2 specific services, levee maintenance and channel maintenance. Each service provides equal benefit to capture and convey stormwater and flood flows through the system. We've divided the county into benefit zones. So the lower zone 1, that's actually is maintained by the lower San Joaquin Levee District, and we're not planning on assessing that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the High Sierra Zone 5, we're not planning on assessing, but zones 2, 3, and 4 going through Oakhurst, have the ability to receive a benefit and can be assessed. In terms of the assessment methodology, these are the sorts of questions that we asked. We figured out what type of property it is. Is it ag? Is it irrigated ag or dairy? Is it residential? How much acreage then does the property have? We attempted to quantify how much stormwater is generated, what portion of the channel is being utilized based on the position of the property, how much damage would result from flooding, and what's the risk and severity of flooding. And Larson Wurzel, who did this analysis, does this for other flood control agencies within the valley, so they are specialists in this. So then we get some preliminary rates per acre. So you could see, for example, if you're a mobile home park, you're paying somewhere around $20 per acre. If you're a single-family residence in less than a quarter of an acre, it's somewhere between $12 and $200, depending on what zone you're in. If you're ag, you're paying somewhere around $4 an acre. So those are preliminary rates. If we move ahead, we assume there's going to be some fine-tuning, but this is where we are. We have a few examples here. So if you have irrigated agriculture and 100 acres, you would be looking at around $400 in Zone 2, and that's pretty typical. Zone 3 and Zone 4 are similar. Single family residence, if it's 0.16, so smallish lot, you're looking at paying somewhere between $2 and $36 a year. So one question that's come up in the past is, what are other people doing? So Fresno County, the Fresno Metropolitan the Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District, they have 160 basins and 75 staff. It's a large agency. It's not necessarily comparable because they're only maintaining about 3 miles of levees. So in many ways, their responsibilities are less, but they do have a lot of highly visible basins, and those basins are capturing stormwater from urban runoff. Kings County has multiple reclamation districts going on. It's not quite as comparable. San Joaquin County has a similar situation where the County Board of Supervisors are the board of directors for their flood control agency, and they have similar challenges. They do have $4 million and 26 staff, though, so they have started to staff up. Tulare, they assess approximately $600,000 in property taxes, and so they're limited in terms of what they can manage. Merced County right now has sort of an informal arrangement called the Merced Stream Group, and I did talk to Hisham about this. This arrangement needs to be reorganized. It's not working for where we are right now. And we've talked through this before. I really see flood control as the groundwork. It's the foundation for all work under Sigma. This is an existing agency. We have existing infrastructure. We just need to find a way to fund it. So our requested action is that we would seek direction on choosing a budget. Our recommendation is the adequate funding of 3.76, and we would then like to move through the Proposition 218 process. The contract that we have does have significant outreach efforts that would amp up, including community meetings, direct mail, a hotline people could call, and an assessment tool that we could put on our website where they could figure out what their assessment is. I would be glad to take your questions, or have more specific questions go to our consulting
I
staff.
have a quick question for you. On the numbers you were using earlier, dollar-wise, was that based under adequate funding
Let's go back.
to your chart?
Yes. Yes.
It was based on adequate funding. Okay, and I had a question as to why, when you hit a quarter of an acre, there was 229, I think it was, something like that, dollars for the first quarter of an acre? Or am I wrong on that?
No, I think the slide I just brought up, so if the clerk of the board could bring up the presentation, we could look at it. So we do have the single-family residential broken into the first quarter of an acre and then over a quarter of an acre.
So you're front-loading, if you have a quarter of an acre, you're going to be charged a tremendous amount of money, like $227.87 in Zone 2. And then for every quarter of an acre over that, you're going to be charged another $3.95 per acre?
That is how that works. And keeping in mind that the risk to your property is all on that first quarter acre, right? That's where your home is, and the most amount of damage could be incurred. But
if you have under a quarter of an acre, you're only going to pay $3.95.
No, it's the first quarter acre is that top number. And then
If
if
you have
you're,
under a quarter of an acre, though, you showed.
It's up to 0.25.
What was it?
It goes from 0 to
Oh,
0.25, right. So it's, if you have a quarter acre or a 107 acre, you're going to pay $227.
Is it proportional? That's what I'm asking. Is it prorated by size?
Good morning, Supervisors. Scott Brown with Larson Brazil. Maybe I can help explain. So the table you see here is a rate per acre. And so what we did not want to do is penalize large lot, single-family residences. So we look at sort of a threshold for where your typical single-family residential turns into more of a rural residential large lot consideration, and that seemed to be from the data about at a quarter acre. So that first quarter acre represents the home, the landscaping, the sort of typical urban residential portion of the property. If you are under a quarter acre, you're not paying that whole amount, you're paying that amount prorated on your acreage. So a 0.16, if you go to the next slide, you'll see like a 0.16 acre lot here in Zone 2, which is west of Highway 99. That's about $36 for that parcel.
So that's what I'm getting at here. You've got 0.16 here at $36 in Zone 2, and at 0.25 acres, which is a quarter acre, that's almost double the amount of land, but you're more than quadrupling the amount.
So if we can move to the zone map. So Zone 2 is west of Highway 99. This is where the most flood risk was identified. This area is in a FEMA hazard zone.
Mostly my district.
And as you move east through the district, Zone 3 does have a flood risk, but we've initially said that zone has about half the flood risk of Zone 2. It's sort of up. Zone 4 is out of the flood risk, but it does utilize the channel system to pull their drainage through. So it's a combination of flood risk and channel maintenance.
Right.
So as you move east.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I don't know if I'm phrasing this right or not, but you've got 0.16 acres at $36 plus or minus.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a quarter acre at $227 plus or minus.
Don't seem fair.
You
does
see
it?
the disparagement?
So the quarter acre, the 227 is a per acre charge. So if you take that 228 an acre roughly times the 0.16, that's what gets you the 32.
What it looks like on your chart is that the first 0.25 is 227.87. That's what it looks like on the chart to me.
Our apologies. We'll clarify that in future presentations, but that is a per acre charge.
That freaks me out.
Oh, I see.
Understood. Understood.
That would freak everybody else out too.
Right.
Because we're already paying school bonds, we're paying, I mean.
Understood.
Let me tell you, we are taxed to the limit. Everybody is.
Right.
So
this table here is to present the sort of the basis for how the assessment is apportioned across all properties. It is largely on a per acre apportionment basis, utilizing the other factors on the previous table. The next slide. I wanted to go to the examples here, sorry. So the example slide would be what an actual property owner might see on their ballot. And so a single family, typical development lot within the city of Madera, say on the west side, would see a ballot of $36 and roughly 50 cents. Yeah. You move to the east side, where the risk is lower, they would see something on the order of $19.
Yeah.
Not
a correct number for your chart for the quarter acre would have been 56.75, somewhere or thereabouts. $57.
If you had a quarter acre lot, that $56 would be your proposed assessment amount. It is also equivalent to on a per acre basis, the 256.
Right. So that makes more sense to me than.
We can refine our messaging here.
For
yes.
a quarter acre. Any other questions?
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
I don't see that.
Oh.
Rob, you had a question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just want to mention thank you for the presentation and for moving forward with this proposal. It's going to help on so many fronts, not only just to manage our levies and so forth, but I think it will help improve recharge and all kinds of efforts as far as preserving as much water as possible. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, we finally come up with a way to fund what we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3, 4 years. So I was wondering how we was going to do it. This is a great formula. What I don't understand for the smaller area of in the mountains in District 4, that it costs more. It was 4 something. You took it off, but it's 4 something for the mountain area for Zone 4 and only 3 something for Zone 2 and 3. Go back to those last
I think
two
it's
charts.
the opposite, right? The flood risk is decreasing as you're moving up into the
That's what I
foothills.
thought, so turn it back to it. I can't see it, so I need it back on
I
here.
wonder if it deals with users, number of users.
Well, let's dig
See,
in. So which
benefit 4
one?
is 14, 3 is 270,
Economy
and
of scale.
Zone 2 is 395. Is that supposed to be the opposite ends? 4 should be in the first.
Right, so let's flip back quickly here. So when we looked at apportioning the benefit, there are 2 special benefits. One is flood protection or flood risk reduction. The other is the ability to take runoff from the properties and convey that through the system. So half of the benefit across the districts, all benefit zones, is related to flood protection. That is isolated down to zones 2 and 3. Zones 2, 3, and 4 also receive the special benefit from channel maintenance that allow the water to be conveyed, taken off the property. That's prorated on the amount of channel that's utilized to take that water through the county and place that water either in recharge basins within the county or pass it through to the Chowchilla bypass. So the reason you see on this initial pass, and these are preliminary rates, and this feedback is good, Zone 4 is higher than Zone 3 because they utilize more of the channel system to take their water through the county.
How we do that when we're making it for you? It's more as it gets down here than it is up there.
Sorry, say that. I'm sorry.
Range 4 is up in the mountains, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're creating the water up there. It's coming down here. So when it's coming down Fresno River, coming down to here,
right,
you're going to be a lot more down here than there is up there.
So Zone 4
we're gonna have
utilizes
more
a
up there,
longer
we're not.
length of channel.
What's that?
It utilizes a longer length of channel to convey that water through. So there's more maintenance required to take that water from up in Zone 4 all the way through the system. So it's prorated based on a factored length of channel utilized.
But I think what he's saying is ultimately the water arrives here.
Right.
And what is their benefit other than, I don't see,
Right.
I don't see their benefit. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we go back to, I think, where the confusion's coming from, and it's under the single-family residential. It says first quarter acre. Is that supposed to be first 1 acre?
That's what they should have put on there.
On this is first quarter acre.
But you
It's
just
a
told
per
us
acre
that
rate, but-
227 is the per acre.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it should
It's
it should say first acre then.
Right.
It's 227 per acre for the first quarter acre. So if you have
A full acre is $800?
It is confusing.
Right.
That is a very confusing.
So we can clarify this. So
Yeah, it needs to be clarified.
Let's use some round numbers that are easier to do math
If I
in my
looked at
head.
that and I was the public out here, I would vote no on a 218
Right.
because by what that
It's
says,
gonna be
that's
really
800
important how we
it's-
frame it.
It's $1,000 it's $900 gonna cost me for that. For
They're going to do the calculation. They're not going to come to somebody and say, how much is that going to cost me?
Right.
Right.
They're going to do the calculation, and they're going to do exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I'm no exception to the rule. I looked at that chart and I said, oh my God, this is going to cost an arm and a leg.
So what we can do is when we present this, we can look at, instead of presenting on the per acre basis, which appears to be
Well, it says right on
overinflated, to
top,
actually.
proposed assessment per acre. Then you got down here first quarter acre at 129. No, 227. I wouldn't touch that
Right.
thing. So that is the, you're
It should
contradicting
say up
yourself
to
some
the
way or
first
another.
quarter acre,
What?
not the quarter acre, but up to a quarter acre. So if you have
Hey, look,
less
son.
than a quarter acre, it's-
Son, you're doing the stats backwards. I'm out here, the general public, and you show that to me, that's gonna cost me $900 for an acre. I don't care how you do it, the way you got it on here. Single-family residence, first .025 acre is $227. Yeah, at the top it says proposed assessment per acre. Why don't you start right there with per acre?
We will come up with a better way to format
Yeah,
the
I mean,
table.
there's nobody
We
gonna
are
vote for
sorry.
that. Would you vote for it? No.
We deeply
Would you vote for
regret
it, Rob?
this part of the table.
Yes, because it'd be a good tax deduction.
Well, they changed that, I don't know if they do that.
The table that's much more helpful is the preliminary examples. That's when you see that these are fairly, in my opinion, reasonable costs. That's
Okay.
where we see that a single-family resident, that we're looking at $36 at the peak.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense.
Well, that adds
But
up
if-
right.
But
I don't
if
say,
yeah,
You're
but if
right.
I'm calculating my acreage based on the other chart, I'm gonna be all messed up.
and so you got 2 acres, which is double that 227, that's right, you got that right. The other one don't show that. Okay, it says proposed assessment. It's what I was talking about before, agriculture, first one, 100 acres. Why is up in the mountains 414? We're creating the water. It's starting to come down those channels, either Coarse Gold Creek, Fine Gold. Well, Fine Gold don't come down here, so you don't have to worry about that. But Fresno River comes down here. I don't understand. I think in Zone 3, I mean, it's going right through there, and they pay less than us, and they pay less in Zone 2. I don't know how you come up with this.
I think what Scott was getting at is that the length of the channel is the key consideration in Zone 4, right? So because there is so much geography up there, there is a higher charge. Now, you're right, that's where the water is coming from, or the High Sierras, right? But there is a potential benefit in in Zone 4 that is significant. If we were to maintain those channels, it would take a tremendous amount of work, and that's where the assessment dollars are coming
You got to
from.
remember, too, there's not a lot you can do in rivers. A channel down here is one thing, but you go get in that river, there's a lot of stuff you're not going to be able to do, period.
Right. That's why
There's
Dario's
winds
been
and
working
stuff,
on a
environmentals to stop
countywide
you, everything else.
fish and
So
wildlife permit.
I don't see collecting that much and not be able to do
In addition
nothing.
to the MID bill that we get once a year
The MID bill that you get once a year.
here in downtown.
We're all assessed on, even Chowchilla, we have a CWD bill every year based on your size of your land. I think it's 125 or
What is the
150.
answer?
Yeah,
The answer is this is separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do, with MID is MID, and this is for the.
Right, this
Yeah,
is
it's
flood
still a cost.
control.
It's still a cost.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be over and above the MID dollar. Down here, we don't pay that up there, so.
Right.
Yeah,
It still makes sense. I mean, we need a way to do this, but I don't know if that's fair and equitable in that Zone 4. I mean, we ain't got no dairies up there, so I don't know why you even have that on there. Huh?
You want another break for everybody else?
Yeah. I don't want to pay as more than you're paying. You guys are benefiting on water.
Supervisor
county.
Wheeler, oh, I'm sorry.
One county.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we feed the world.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think what he's not seeing, and I'm kind of there as well, what exactly is their benefit?
Yeah, what are we gonna get? What are those people that
For the
live
money.
in North Fork gonna get out of this when it goes, our water all goes down San Joaquin River by Feingold?
They're getting a decrease in their risk of flooding and having their homes flood because the channels would be able to be cleared and maintained.
Yeah.
I mean, in our discussions, it seemed like there is a fair amount of risk of flooding in the
Oh,
foothills.
yeah, I agree, just along
Okay.
Little Creek and Fresno River, that's it.
Okay.
But not the rest of those properties. So if you get those people to vote for this, it's
We're
gonna
just
be
thinking
reasonable.
hypothetically here.
I know.
We have to think a little critically, because
Right, down here, when it's flat, everybody could be flooded. Up there, the only ones that's gonna be flooded live right along the two rivers. Other than that, who is it?
you might consider in a situation like, I'm just thinking out loud, but,
So am I.
yeah. Well, that's what we're doing. It is good discussion, I think.
Right.
It helps us refine things. As you're closer to the situation, maybe your fee should be higher than as you get away from it in those regions. It's kind of like your flood control, or your flood, if you had flood insurance. What would your flood insurance be if you're in the path of a 100-year storm? What would it be if
you live a mile from it?
You're just outside of that 100-year storm and in the path of nothing for foreseeable. It would be a lot less in that one than it would be in the 100-year flood zone. So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
So this is very helpful feedback. And remember, initially, we weren't going to include Zone 4 because there's greater unknowns up there And we have dug it in and done a first pass, but we would be glad to dig in a little further and come back with more refinements for that zone.
Well, if we're gonna get 218 vote passed, we're gonna have to do something like that, because anybody that don't live on Fresno River, Pine Gold, maybe Coarse Gold.
They're not gonna see the logic.
They're not gonna see no logic. They're not gonna vote to give you $400 just to be given to make them flood safe, and they're not gonna be flooded no matter what.
Well, to be clear, though, if it's a single-family resident, it would be $2. The only time it would be $400 is if there were 100 acres.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just,
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
yeah, that helps. Okay.
Yeah, the important thing is to get this 218 passed and
Right.
to have, to be able to sell that to the public in a logical fashion. We have to have charts that make sense. We have to have logic that the average person is going to look and say, geez, I live on a mountain over here off the creek. That creek, the whole world would be flooded before I would have to have a problem.
Right.
And they're going to vote no. And maybe, the possibility of decreasing the zone of benefit. I don't know. Because you want people within the zone of benefit to be people who are actually benefiting from the assessment. So if they're so far out of the realm of benefit, it may not be feasible for them to be in it. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I think, some good points. I think Area 2 and Area 3 will definitely be, some of the biggest beneficiaries of the district, flood control district, in terms of, not only flooding, but also, or controlling flooding, but, again, we're kind of taking a whole different look at this thing in terms of recharge and so forth. I mean, the more channels that are cleared, the more water is available for that opportunity and to be redirected into recharge basins. The other thing is, based on this discussion, it might be helpful to get a few folks that live in Chowchilla, live in Madera, a few growers, maybe get some focus groups and sit down with
there too.
people, and sit down and talk about, different scenarios and how does this look to you? Do you see the benefit? Do you understand what the benefit is? And things of that sort. I know here in the city of Madera, especially those who live along the Fresno River, they would have no issue whatsoever voting for this because, they want to see that river cleared out, public safety. There's a whole multitude of advantages. So I think that as long as we are able to explain the benefits to people, and again, maybe some focus groups would be very, very helpful as we move forward.
I agree. Yeah, if you look at the history of Chowchilla, back when I was mayor in 1993, it was 97, I think, too.
98 was a big one.
We had a flood in 97 that almost went over the Ash Slough, and I was sandbagging as fast as I could along with everybody else. We were, moving pretty hard on that. Those that were around during that time are going to remember, and we come to that flood stage quite often when they've been better at managing it, I think, in the last few years. But that's an important piece of history that comes into play when you talk about zone of benefit. Definitely city of Chowchilla, and they've got a lot of votes there. And city of Madera also with the Fresno River. There's been a few times when it's broken out, and I know you got flooded last year, didn't you? This year, yeah. And yet to come.
Yeah.
I mean, they're putting out a lot of water right now. Tom?
Yeah, so on that 100 acres, is that per 100 acres, or is it just 100 acres and over?
So the example assessments are calculated precisely for the 100 acres for,
Well, that $400-something you said is for 100 acres, which I agree is what it says, but is that for each 100 acres? Or is that just for 100 acres over and over? Can you get that chart again and show it up here?
So if you had 1,000 acres, what
Right.
is what he's asking? What's the
Because my
assessment?
boss has got 4,500 acres times 100 times $414. That's a pretty big hit,
That's a big hit.
right?
That's $4,100.
And the thing up there is most of those ranches, I mean, there's 100 acres, but if they're a rancher, you can't make a living on 100 acres, so you're gonna have to have at least a minimum of 1,000 acres, so you're talking 10 times that, so that's, instead of 400, you got $40,000. So, how does that work?
So we did put for large, very large lots, we did put a threshold on the top end where once you hit, I believe it's 500 acres, that there's no additional benefit received on parcels above that. And that threshold was an initial pass-through to sort of test the rates. If that threshold needs to be adjusted based on, feedback we receive and closer look at the actual benefit, we can adjust that threshold.
So 500 acres or more would be $2,070 then. You haven't got that on there, you should have that on there. if you're
So a
gonna-
500 acre in zone 4
Right.
would be about $2,000.
Yeah, $2,070, I just added it up, right there. Whoops, there's zero now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got a lot of work to do
Yeah,
about
to help
how
get
this is
people to vote.
presented, because people are not going to figure this out. It's just too convoluted.
So may I
In
make
my
a
opinion.
suggestion?
Yeah.
With your permission, we'd like to regroup and work on the acreage table, since clearly that was confusing for everybody. Have some informal focus groups, and then talk through Zone 4, Supervisor Wheeler's part of his district again, and see that we're quantifying the benefits accurately. And come back in a month or so. So it seemed like in general, though, we would like to move ahead.
So
We just want to make
absolutely-
sure that
we
these
really have
rates
to
are
do that.
precisely calculated to
Right.
correlate the benefit.
Yeah, I'd like to state that, I don't want to give you anybody's opinion, especially you, that I'm anywhere near opposed to this.
I'm
Because
not
I've
either.
been a proponent of this since the beginning of my tenure in this office. This is one of the more important things we're going to do in regards to groundwater recharges. As Supervisor District 3 has well stated, we've got to make this move, and we've got to clear the channels. Clear channels means groundwater recharge, means conveyance, it means opportunity. When big water flows come, we can take more of that water, we can put it where we need it, put it where we want to put it, instead of it landing by accident. And
going to the ocean.
Yeah, or going to the ocean, and we want to take all of it that we can get. So this is our only real opportunity at this point, with something that's already in place to do that. I think if we sell that in that regard with clear numbers, I think it's going to go.
Okay, thank you.
Good job, though, other than that.
Okay,
thank
let's
you.
go out to the public. Are there any public comments at this point on the item?
No farmers here.
Nobody here yet to comment? Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to the board, and I think we have clear direction. We don't need a motion, do we?
We need a motion or not?
I don't think we do. We've given
No,
direction.
it's direction, so no motion, and it sounds like staff will be back in a month, and we'll probably seek a motion then to start moving forward on the Prop 218 process.
Yeah, I think you're headed in the right direction. I think it just needs tweaking and fine tuning.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item, 7D.
7D, Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division, expansion of Posse Winchester permit tracking software. 1, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue, number 18-186, in the amount of $477,829. 2, discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to MCC number 11203-18 with Computronics in the amount of $220,756 for continued growth of Posse Winchester permit tracking software, and authorize the chairman to sign. 3, discussion and consideration of approval to enter into an agreement with Computronics in the amount of $217,073 for the update enhancement of the business license and to incorporate the tax collector department in the existing Posse web system and authorizes chairman to sign.
Okay, staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Treber, Community Economic Development Director here. Also with me is Keith Burgess with Computronics and Becky Beavers with the Planning Division. We do have a brief PowerPoint presentation for the board's consideration, and then we'll be available for any questions the board may have on that. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Becky. And also we have Wally Nishimoto with us as well, who is our business systems analyst for us too. Maybe, just maybe. Oh.
Sarah, it's pocket number 4.
There we go.
We've just completed our update to Posse Winchester, and it's been very successful. On July 10th, 2018, the board entered into an agreement with Computronics to upgrade our permit tracking software Posse. The system had not had a major upgrade since the purchase in 2001. There are many business solutions available with Posse that the county may decide to use in the future. They're modules that you can pick and choose what you want. In 2018, we successfully upgraded to Posse Web or Winchester, rebranded the Outriders site, that's our public portal, and added e-plan review. That's the digital plan review. All permits are connected by an assessor's parcel number, so all activity on the parcel is easily identified. The electronic plan review, you'll see the picture, that's actually one of the plan checkers in the building department using the system. The Posse e-plan module went into production on June 24th. We're still learning, but so far we have reviewed 11 custom plan check jobs, 18 additions, and 3 master plan check jobs. The Outrider portal used to be very antiquated. It said, "Welcome to the RMA system," and now you can see it's been updated to mirror what our county website looks like, and all the wording has been updated. Our current Outrider system is very limited. It has very few, just the more simplistic permits can be applied online. However, once an applicant has registered, he can go in, and it doesn't matter whether he has applied online or at the counter. He can go on the system and he can watch the progress of his permit. He can read all of the reviews from the other departments and look at the inspections. It's really a very informative system. I guess I just covered that slide. What we would like to do is to expand that portal to include all permits of all sizes. So anybody, if they're in the mountains and they want to apply, or out on the west side, they wouldn't have to come into our office. It would be available for them to do it. And with the e-plans, we can take in the plans online also. And we also would like to, for total transparency, we want to make it so all people can view all permits. It doesn't have to be their own. By the year, I believe it's 2020, the state is going to require that all well jobs be able to be viewed online. And right now, we don't have that. Only the applicant can view his own permits. So this would also cover that. And the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office would like to come on board on Posse with the business license permit. We currently put business license into it, but it's simply for the land use review. They would like to expand that job to include the renewals and any notification to the landowners. So we're kind of excited about expanding it to another department. Until our recent upgrade, we've just been really maintaining the system. We really hadn't been expanding. And now that we have a funding mechanism in line with our permits, it's allowing us to continue to grow, and we hope that we can continue to keep up with what the community needs. This new expansion is also going to help with cybersecurity. So that's always a big concern, and this will also confront that. So thank you very much.
And if I could just piggyback a little bit on just the history of the system, as Becky touched on, this has been our permit tracking system. It was the first system that we went to as a county organization back in 2001, and had no significant upgrade until the last couple of years, where we did in 2017 go through an RFQ and RFP process with IT involved and all of those things. I'm talking a lot of the history on that, and did this upgrade, and this is kind of the next step in that. We've successfully implemented that, actually on budget and slightly ahead of schedule. So that's kudos to really Becky and also the Computronics team. We've issued more than approximately 160,000 permits in this system since it came into fruition. The majority of those came out of the building division, but our Public Works department has issued approximately 9,000 encroachment permits and different permits through the system. So it is an integral tool for our department. All of our building permits, all of our entitlements go through it, and it's a historical tracking software system, right? So you click on a parcel, you see all of the history that's been generated on that specific parcel. This will expand the use, right, as Becky talked about a little bit, to, as you know, if you're Joe Smith Plumbing, LLC, you can log in and you can simply see all of the status of all of your active permits and your historical permits live in time right there. The E-Plan review is a very big key interval. As you can imagine right now with the boom and the building that we're seeing, we've had one builder come in with 87 permits last week. Right? And they can submit that all digitally to us. It flows directly into the system.
Instead of 87 rolls of whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been.
Where do you stick all that stuff?
It's difficult, to put it mildly. So this is really bringing us into the 21st century.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is certainly an expense. The other aspect is we've set up in our fee structure, right, so that we're not asking for a loan from the general fund or general fund dollars, right? We have a system in place where we're capturing now, which we never had before. This was instituted about 5-6 years ago, a fee structure that will allow for specific funds to be generated for upgrading our permit system and our tracking system. So we're not looking here in another 20 years when we are antiquated and Computronics is saying, hey, you're end of life, there is no service, we don't even, our techs don't even know what Computronics system you're running anymore. And then we're looking at $1.5 million kick, right? We have bit off this large chunk and we had the funding and the fees available for that, saved in the reserves to do it, and now we'll be looking at keeping up to date on it. So it's small little chunks as we're moving forward and expanding the system to work better for the public.
Couldn't be more excited. I remember the first time I built a house when the planner sent me a document, and I built the house based off of a plan on my iPad, and that was really a cool thing. I mean, we never had to go in and do anything. It was all iPad, and I've been longing for us to get to the point where we could launch stuff and not have to go back and forth and pick up the corrections and come. I mean, you can literally spend hundreds of man hours going back and forth and trying to do corrections. And before, we had to try to figure out where things were. You had to phone in. Where are things? Well, let me look, try and see, and I'll get back to you. And now we know where they are, and we are just getting better and better and better. And this is a great tool for the general public. Tom?
Yeah, thank you. You guys got to remember, Matt and Becky know, when I got on board in 2007, the posse, I called her the Wild Corral because
Yeah.
we spent all that money that wasn't being used. And that's when IT was out and yonder someplace trying to be roped in. So we're finally getting this posse controlled and bringing it to fruition. And it's so nice because we spent all that millions of dollars, like Matt said, to buy that in 2001. And just sitting there because the staff didn't like to use it and it was complicated and all that stuff. And here we are now, stepping that way up here over that from down there. And it's just such a neat, refreshing feel that we're part of that. And we, as a board, added those fees, which people always chastise us for, but this is what makes us modernize stuff where we can still spend our extra monies, if we have any, for fire and sheriff and what have you, and roads even. So thank you, guys.
I did a little tour last week through the building division, just right after agenda review. And it was really interesting. I just stopped at the counter, a few customers there. I said, how are things? And they said, man, it's never been better. And, you know, that is interesting to have general public standing at a government counter, happy, smiles on their faces. It's
Right.
never been better. I don't know when the last time I heard that, and it's happening more and more in Madera County. You guys are just to be commended. I think I read a note, Matt, while you were gone, you were on vacation, from the Pace family, and I read that to the board and to everybody here about what an outstanding job, and what they do projects all over the state of California and all over the country, and don't have the experience that they have here in Madera County, the good experience and the attention to detail that our staff provides. So very, very good.
Yeah, I see people skipping all the time up the stairs to go pay their taxes. They're so happy.
Yes. Oh, boy.
I get to see Tracy today. Jeez, oh, criminy.
I think customer service is definitely at a height here, and we continue to reach for new heights. So that's really excellent. Any other comments from anybody? Take this out to the public. Any comment from the public? Bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve item 7D, 1, 2, and 3.
Have a second.
Motion and second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Very
Thank you,
good.
guys.
Thank you.
If I could just give slight kudos to Becky again, who
There you go. Very
I
good.
won't allow to leave us permanently and has done a yeoman's job getting us through this process.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Pending legislation. We have one item here, it's like.
Yes, a letter of opposition for AB 1299. I believe Supervisor Wheeler and staff is bringing it forward.
Yeah, this is something that we really got to do. I don't see no volunteer firemen or the CAL FIRE here, but I got a notice from the Matthew Kuska from Shasta County, and saying that, man, we got it. It's in the Senate right now. You want to take it over and tell them what's going on, Shalea?
Yeah. Chairman, Board, Shalea Holly-Young, District 5, Chief of Staff. So AB 1299 is currently going to go to the Senate. It will, for mutual aid request, it'll cap the amount that the county can receive for reimbursement for volunteer firefighters. And after that cap is met, the volunteer firefighter will no longer be able to respond to mutual aid requests until the following fiscal year. And as our department is a combination department, we rely heavily on paid call firefighters. And this will likely negatively affect our ability to respond to mutual aid requests, which is not great, especially in a state like California where wildfires are a consistent threat.
Okay, thumbs up.
I was just wondering, what has kind of led to this legislation? What are the forces
I
behind
don't know
it?
what did. I
It's
really.
It seems to be a cut in state costs, so they do reimburse, and, with a lot of counties, especially rural one, the dependence on paid call firefighters and the amount of wildfires that have come throughout the years, I'm assuming that the state is paying a lot of reimbursement, and that's mostly what I could find as a cost-cutting measure.
Okay, I think that, I was reading through this bill because I saw it coming through, and I think that they may have made some amendments, but overall, I agree.
They have, and this reflects the most recent amendment.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
Okay. Thumbs up?
Yep.
Okay, we got thumbs up.
You want to sign that one?
Yeah, we'll sign it. I'll sign it right now. Let's see, supervisor staff reports. Supervisor Poitras.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Supervisor Rodriguez. Okay, Tom.
I just wanted to say that next Monday at 11 o'clock at Norfolk Rec Center is going to be Galen Lee and his mom, Ruby Pomona's services. And it's open to the public, and they had the private services, well, for Galen yesterday and last Friday for Ruby, so it'll be pretty emotional. It's still pretty rough on that and everybody, and so if anybody wants to come, it'd be good.
And a nice article on the B today.
Well, I know Carmen George, who's from up at Oakhurst Area Drive in Yosemite, does a great job writing, I tell you, for the B.
That's nice.
So,
Thoughts and prayers will be with you, Tom.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you bet.
Very much.
Sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, it's not very easy.
Yeah. Eric?
Nothing to report.
No report, Chairman,
No report, Chairman.
Okay.
other than a reminder that there's a 1:30 IHSS meeting.
Correct. I was just about to say that. That's good. Thank you. IHSS meeting at 1:30 sharp. We'll adjourn this meeting till that time. I mean, we'll actually adjourn the meeting
Adjourn this
completely and open an IHSS meeting at 1:30.
Right.